Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Ingram Jones, and thank you for tuning in for the second part of GGG, or Gennady Golovkin versus Brook, the news update. Now, I've just got off the phone to Abel Sanchez. There's good news and there's bad news. The good news is I can remember what was said. The bad news is that he didn't record the interview, but I'll tell you exactly, kind of almost blow for blow for what happened. I got on the phone and I started talking to Abel. I said to him, Abel, first and foremost, thank you for doing the interview again. A lot of people were critical of the last interview I did with you because they thought that I kind of stuck it to you. Abel's response basically was, he was thankful. He then basically was up to him how he decides to answer an interview. And if I have a question I need to ask and it's related to the topic, then he'll answer the topic. And so therefore he was saying I was entitled within my right as a journalist to ask that question. Okay, moving on. So I said the fight between Brook and Gennady Golovkin's been confirmed. He said, yeah, the fight is on. I said, so can you tell me how Gennady Golovkin got the fight with Brook instead of Chris Eubank Jr.? Quite simple. There was a world-class deal on the table. And Chris Eubank Jr., he didn't even stress Chris Eubank Jr. Chris Eubank Sr., again, the word difficult came up. There were some demands that Chris Eubank Sr. was making that was not available, that Eddie Hearn denied and did not want. And there were some demands that Chris Eubank Sr. wanted that were not viable in the contract, despite it being a world-class contract. So basically, the Eubanks or Eubank Sr. didn't correct. The same contract was offered to Kell Brook, literally 24 hours after that contract was offered, and Kell Brook took it up. I said to Abel Sanchez, how can you offer Kell Brook the same contract that you offered Eubank Jr.? Kell Brook is a welterweight and is a current IBF world champion. Chris Eubank, with all due respect, his best performance or his best win or his title was a WBA interim title. He wasn't even a full middleweight champion. He was interim champion. So he said, look, we offered what was on the table to Chris Eubank Jr., to Kell Brook. That was what the offer was at the time. That's the best we could offer. It's either a take it or leave it. And Kell Brook took it. He said, he then went on to commend Kell Brook for his guts for taking on the fight to fight Triple G. I then said, I can't congratulate Triple G or Gennady Golovkin for taking this fight, but on the same breath, slam Canelo for taking on Amir Khan. He says, no, you can't compare the two fighters. I said, well, why is that? He said, because Amir Khan was a lightweight that moved up and fought middleweight. He said, at lightweight, he got knocked out. At light welterweight, he got knocked out, and at welterweight, he was getting rocked. Kell Brook is very different. He hasn't been badly beaten up as a welterweight. Abel Sanchez continues by saying that he believes that Kell Brook is the best welterweight in the world. He doesn't believe that Keith Thurman, and obviously he's beating Short Porter, doesn't believe that Keith Thurman can beat Kell Brook. And he's an unbeaten world champion who's never been knocked out. So those things he thinks goes in favor. And he's a big welterweight. I said, yeah, he's a big welterweight. But then when he gets into like middleweight division, he's not as big. And then when he moves into middleweight division, he's pretty small. He says, well, as far as I'm concerned, what I saw of Kell Brook when I was in the opposite corner, when I was Carson Jones' trainer for the first fight, which was a close fight, I felt that Kell Brook showed lots of heart. He showed lots of guts, and he showed the sort of balls necessary to get in the ring and do what is necessary at a world-class level to, to be a world champion. So I said, okay, before we get to Gennady Golovkin versus Kell Brook, let's talk about Kell Brook versus Chris Eubank Jr. Who do you think would win that fight? And he said that Kell Brook's world-class experience is what would make him beat Chris Eubank Jr. I said, how can I congratulate Gennady Golovkin for fighting somebody who's, you know, nothing more than a welterweight? What do you gain from that? He says, well, by the time comes fight night, we don't know what Kell Brook is going to bring to the table. He said, can I remind you of Sugar Ray Leonard fighting Marvin Hagler? I said, with all due respect, Abel, Sugar Ray Leonard was arguably the best welterweight in the division. And Sugar Ray Leonard had fast hands and fast feet and great, you know, distance and timing. Kell Brook, we're not sure if he's the best welterweight in the division, and because he's only fought one of the best welterweights in the division, which is Porter. And the second thing is, Ray Leonard and Kell Brook. Kell Brook is very flat-footed, and we don't. And Kell Brook hasn't even stepped into middleweight. We don't know what he's going to be like at middleweight. So he said, well, okay, I don't know either. So we don't know what we're going to face with Kell Brook. I said, look, with all due respect, Abel, if Curtis Stevens couldn't hurt Gennady Golovkin, if David Lemieux, big puncher, couldn't hurt Gennady Golovkin, are you suggesting that a welterweight is going to be able to step up to middleweight and hurt Gennady Golovkin? He went, we'll have to wait and see. Abel Sanchez then went on again to talk about the difficulty of working with Chris Eubank Sr., and he believed that Sr. was the reason why the negotiations halted. So that's basically what Abel Sanchez said, and he looks forward to coming to the UK. He said that Gennady and his team have been wanting to come to the UK for a while. It's something they sat down and talked about, and it was always on the cards to come to the UK. Regardless if it was Brook, whether it was Eubank Jr., they always wanted to come to the UK. Just so happens that Kell Brook's the guy that took the opportunity, take the fight. So those are my thoughts on not my thoughts, those are on Abel Sanchez's thoughts. So I'd like to hear what people are thinking. And finally, said this talked about this thing about being a world-class contract. So let me hear what people are saying in the room about this just new information I've just given. No, I haven't seen Hearn's phone call with Coogan yet. Yes, Eubank Senior is doing his best to ruin his son's career. Glenn C says, yeah, the Eubank seem impossible to deal with. He'll be defending his British title again on the undercard. I did say about John Ryder as a possibility. The Eubanks live in a dreamland. Asking for more money than Joshua would get for pay-per-view, and apparently no one is allowed to talk to Junior. It's only Senior Hearn deals with. Lakvinder Singh says, I can see the Ingles throwing the towel in around 9 and 10. Just what happened to Murray. If I were Hearn, I'd turn and tell the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to do one. Lakvinder Singh says, I'm from Sheffield and been to the Ingles gym, and Brook is an arrogant shite. Naz in person was such a down to earth. So I hope Brook eats Kazakhstan brownies all night long. The only person on the planet Earth who talks more shite than Hearn is Eubank Senior. Boxing Enthusiast says, good evening, everyone. You need to listen to the interview. It explains it all. Evening. Well, I've just spoken to Abel Sanchez. Unfortunately, I didn't record it. I'll probably try and get to talk to Abel again another time. But that's the information for Abel Sanchez. They're looking forward to the fight. Eddie Hearn can say what he wants, to be honest. I'd rather listen to Abel, to be honest, than Eddie Hearn. Ingram, GGG or Eubank, GGG versus Brook. Like I said earlier on, I'd rather listen to GGG versus. Well, when I talked to Abel Sanchez, I was talking about GGG versus Brook in negotiations. So the question now is, for you boxing fans that are tuning in at the moment, ask yourself the question: where does Eubank Jr. go from here? Where does Eubank Jr. go from here? And more to the point, if you think about it, Adam Booth was in their corner training them, no longer in the corner, disappeared. Nobody said anything about it. Floyd Mayweather Sr. was working with them at one point. Don't hear much about that. Roger Mayweather was working with them at one point. Don't hear much about that. You now have them working with Frank Warren, were they not? No, they were working with Mick Hennessy at one point. No more. Then, from Mick Hennessy, then it was Eddie Hearn, was it? Or Frank Warren, and Frank Warren to Eddie Hearn? What's going to happen? And then you screw over Sky, screw over Box Nation. The only possible route I can see for Junior, honestly, is for him to go to Al Heyman. Honestly, I can only see it that way. And there's no way Eubank Sr. can go and talk all that English rubbish over to Al Heyman. Al Heyman said, get the hell out of here. I don't need you. So Al Heyman seems to be the only possible route for the Eubanks now. How many English promoters are going to work with Chris Eubank Jr. now? I mean, you know, if you cheese off Sky. That was a big fight. You had the Billy Joe Saunders fight with Frank Warren. Don't know. But then at the same time, that's one way. He's saying that he's very difficult to work with. The question is, I remember once when they were saying about Audie Harrison being difficult to work with, but Audie Harrison was trying to be his own promoter. He didn't want the promoters to get a cut. He wanted to do everything himself. So ask yourself the question, where does this all lead to now? Where does this all lead to now? If Brook gets brutally knocked out, it sets up a calm Brook fight. It does, indeed. Don Fredenko says, there are videos out there saying GGG ducked Eubank. Gazzo says, who realistically would work with Eubanks now? Is the draw they have worth the hassle they bring? Good question. You can see Chris Eubank Jr. defend his title against John Ryder. That's what you can see happening. Eubank Jr. needs to get away from his dad. He's ruining his son's career about English. He's an egomaniac, quite possibly. No way Heyman would work with English. Well, he might not work with English, but if English is told to step aside for Eubank Jr.'s future, maybe English might step aside. Eubank Sr. was demanding big money because he's blown his fortune. Quite possibly. I don't know much about the interview and with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn will say what he needs to say to keep the public happy. Look, this is Eddie Hearn, who one breath was saying that Carl Frampton was the best super bantamweight in the world, was going to knock out Scott Quigg. Then the next minute he's turned around, and once him and Frampton broke up, he turned that Scott Quigg is the best super bantamweight in the world and would knock out Carl Frampton. So I mean, you know, this is the Eddie Hearn that people have to deal with. So I'm sorry, I can't really, you know, I can't take anything that Eddie Hearn takes too seriously. But I mean, Eubank is an egomaniac. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I understand a father trying to protect his son's career. There have been many father and son relationships. Danny Garcia and his father. Robert Guerrero and his father, Sugar Shea Mosley and his father, Oscar De La Hoya and his father. The list goes on. The list goes on. Master Stroke by Hearn. Well, quite possibly. Official says he said double. Well, it was a world-class contract. According to Abel Sanchez, this is a world-class contract. I don't know what a world-class contract is because, of course, I will have no business seeing a world-class contract. Well, do you think there's any validity to the channels that say GGG ducked Eubank Jr.? I can't really say that. No, I don't. I mean, Eubank Jr. hasn't fought anybody in that next echelon of fighters. Rosado, Quillin, Lee, Lemieux, Stevens. Those are 5 guys that he's not fought. He's not fought a Macklin. He's not any of those guys. A Gill. He hasn't fought any of those guys. He's fought everything below that. So to say that Gennady Golovkin is going to duck a guy that he's going to find very easy to hit, I mean, you got to think about it. Gennady Golovkin, I mean, Chris Eubank Jr.'s defense, I go back to this before, like I said before, he was getting hit cleanly by Tom Duran. Like I said in the previous video, he's getting hit cleanly by Tom Duran. He's getting hit cleanly by Spike O'Sullivan. His chin's in his defense, basically. So, I mean, I don't know, a little head movement he does against guys who can't fight. But when you got someone like Gennady Golovkin coming at you, you better learn how to fight. So, where does Brook go when he loses? Well, good question. The thing is, the other thing I have to say about this contract thing, not exactly this contract, where exactly the whole contract thing leads to. We don't know if there's rematch clauses. We don't know if there's hydration clauses. We don't know if there's glove clauses. We don't know if there's some sort of random drug. We don't know what's inside that contract. What is inside that contract that a welterweight would accept it, but a middleweight wouldn't? That I'm asking the question. What is a world-class contract? Can anybody present to me what a world-class contract is? So we're all here saying, V's and Beat says, basically, screw Bob Vargas, screw Brook, screw BACC to back pay-per-views, so he can he can pay Brook for a fight that won't sell. Everybody's happy. Gazzo says, LOL, does that even need an answer? Of course, GGG didn't duck Eubank. Didn't GGG duck Ward? Well, that's a different situation altogether. Interested if Eubanks ever fight on Sky again? Yeah, possibly. World-class contract, career high payday for both fights. The question you got to ask yourself is, was Eubank Sr. looking to piggyback off the name of Gennady Golovkin? Eubank tweeted he never received a contract. Yep. Kell Brook probably got that contract. Eubank v. Macklin, now that you mentioned him, forget Ryder. Money talks. This is the biggest money fight this year. A middleweight would expect, but Eubank Sr. is the problem. Doesn't know what he's doing about his son's career, says Glenn G. A world-class contract is big money, more than he'd earn in America. What is a world-class contract? I still don't know what a world-class contract is. It's like saying it's a world-class contract, but a world-class contract, 60-40 could be a world-class contract because you're fighting a world-class fighter. But 60% goes to that fighter, 40% goes to you. I don't know. I mean, what is a world-class contract? If somebody could tell me what a world-class contract is, we could have a conversation. Yep, Eubank priced himself out. Probably did. 35-0 is a great record. Still to put a risk, it is. But it's a welterweight record, not a middleweight record. I don't think Eubank had any intention of fighting Gennady Golovkin. For Brook, I meant. Eubank versus Murray. If Murray's moving down to back to middle, maybe. I'd like to see Eubank fight someone like Curtis Stevens or David Lemieux. David Lemieux, Chris Eubank Jr. I'd like to see that fight. He said he'd never seen the contract since it was announced. Yeah, he can say what he wants. More money than you can swim in. Yeah, probably. Phone Abel and ask him what a world contract is, please. I just got off the phone if you didn't understand. I'm sorry. I did speak to Abel Sanchez earlier on. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, the call was not recorded. So I was just talking to you what happened with Abel. Abel's in a rush. I think he was going to meet with others. So Eubank wanted his own commentators. I don't know exactly what was requested, but as I said, speaking to Abel Sanchez, he seemed to allude to the fact that Chris Eubank Sr. is a problem for Eubank Jr.'s career. I just wonder, let me ask you all a question. Take Eubank Sr. to one side. What would they do with Eubank Jr.? What would Eddie Hearn do with Eubank Jr.? What sort of offers would he be getting? What sort of fights would he be in? What sort of money would he be getting? That's the question. People say he's better off senior. But if you can see your son's being ripped off there, if you can see your son being ripped off by these promoters, Would you not? What? And you yourself was a world championship boxer, and you got ripped off. Would you want to see your son getting ripped off? Justin Marr says he did see the contract. From Eddie Hearn's words, Twitter, he said Eubank wasn't so confident. This is a stay active fight for GGG, while Jacobs, Sanders, and Chris steps up. Eubank have his own commentators, according to Hearn, and wanted to treble it's all in the IFL interview. Great stuff. UK fighters' the ability to be powerfully dominant. Screw the Eubanks greedy. I just heard about you GGG versus Brook. This kind of fight's a welterweight now. GGG. Yeah, as I said to Abel Sanchez, how can you compare? You know, how can you basically hold your head high fighting a welterweight? Maybe GGG wanted the best. I don't know boxing fans. I really don't know boxing fans, but I'll tell you something. But we want to know what that's all about. Kell Brook. Where does he go after he fights Gennady Golovkin? I mean, I said Kell Brook had to hold when he fought Porter. Go back and look at the Porter fight. You had to hold when he fought Sean Porter. And if you're holding against Sean Porter, clean for dear life against Sean Porter, what are you going to do against Gennady Golovkin? If Gennady's got the choice of the referee, and the referee says, you know what, you can't, he's going to have to get on his. I said to Abel, how is Brook going to make the just the ease of the moment to be able to adjust and be a fighter that's going to suddenly change his style dramatically to fight Gennady? He said, oh, well, Gennady had to adjust his style from one opponent to another. I said, with all due respect, Abel, that's fine. He adjusted his style. He didn't have to move up in weight. So now Kell Brook is expected to move up in weight and change his style, because if he stands in front of Gennady, he's going to get walked straight through, I think. Does anyone else get the feeling Eubank Jr. is going to go back to Warren and fight on the undercard of Fury Klitschko 2? If it's true that tickets weren't selling well for the July 9th date. Interesting. Baylor, what time is it over there in Tasmania? Tasmania? Island, mate, island. Possibly the Saunders rematch. Boxing politics running the show. It's sad, more of a business than a sport. Warren won't deal with the Eubanks. Senior burned those bridges. Seniors in Eubank in no man's land. Eddie Hearn said he presented the terms and conditions, which according to him is no different than what's offered to AJ in terms of fairness for all parties, Sky, Matchroom, Box, etc. I don't know. What sort of a boxing? Eubank may be a great boxer. May have been a great boxer, but you've got to ask yourself the question: what is he like as a manager? What is he like managerially? What does he know about cutting a good deal? Does he know about negotiating a good deal for his son? Is he negotiating a deal for his son, or is he negotiating a deal for his own luxurious lifestyle and his son's? Which means you're trying to get two wages into one contract. Whereas someone like Kell Brook, Eddie Hearn, the promoter, the Matchroom, and then it's just a straightforward deal between Brook and Gennady Golovkin. I might ask my boss for a world-class contract. I think we're going to hear a lot about this world-class contract. Yeah, but I couldn't believe Abel Sanchez brought the comparison of Sugar Ray Leonard to Marvin Hagler for Kell Brook, Gennady Golovkin. I couldn't believe it. I was just, oh dear. Eubank Senior believes he and his son is the draw, which makes the deal lucrative. I beg to differ. GGG appears to be the one who is willing to see. Of course, who's got all the belts at the moment? Who's got all the belts? Who's got all the belts? Apart from the WBO and that WBA title that Jacobs has got. Gennady. So, I mean, he's got all the main belts. To be honest, I just want to see Gennady Golovkin give Eubank a pasting. I can see that, and I can understand that. World-class contract. See, I would like to see that contract myself. We'll never be able to see what exactly that contract is. There are talented 6 foot tall 154 champions calling that Gennady Golovkin. Danny Jacobs just call it GGG, and he's fighting to welterweight. Well, this is my point. But Danny Jacobs has called out Gennady Golovkin, but he's already got a fight with Sergio Mora, so he better keep himself quiet. Billy Joe has gone awfully quiet recently, so I don't know what that meant. Maybe he was fighting in America. Rate Brook, but still a huge mismatch. Would making a bit pointless, disappointing. Really, to see Chris Eubank Jr. versus GGG would have been a proper fight. Where does GGG Chris Eubank Jr. go from here? It says Lee the Wizard 1979. Where does he go from here? John Ryder. Although I like Brook and think he's the #1 welterweight, I did want to see the Eubank versus GGG fight. Don Flamingo can't duck Brook. Brook duck Vargas. Eubank duck GGG. Why is the English so pussyfied? Dicko says, if he doesn't give me a world-class contract, he's getting a chocolate brownie. Danny Jacobs. Boxing Enthusiast says, Danny Jacobs is in the Who Needs Him club. Sad but true. Lavinder Singh says, surely Jacobs versus Eubank should be an easy fight for them to make for a third. Yeah, it's an easy fight to make after Jacobs gets past Mora. Copendale 9 says, is Brook basically fighting for the IBF belt with the others thrown in? If not, why is there next day check weigh-in? Good question. From what I understand, they're going to weigh in on the same. I think they got a same day weigh in. I think either a same day weigh in or they're going to weigh in on that day. Eubank going to fight Martin Concepcion. Brook didn't duck Vargas. Vargas was demanding silly money. The Latin Snake is going to KO Jacobs. Purok style, baby. There's always the possibility that could happen. I mean, he dropped Jacobs, so. Don Flamingos, I like the English, but you guys need to start breathing the likes of Nassim and Lennox again. Two guys are doing stuff. Well, hold on, we've got James DeGale. Don't go there. We've got James DeGale. DeGale fought Bute, and he fought Durrell, and he fought now what's this guy? Porky. So I mean, he's doing all right, James DeGale. I think he's the best outside of Tyson Fury, of course, but more active. So where does Eubank Jr. go from here? Maybe a John Ryder fight. Maybe he'll go to Steve Goodwin. DeGale is dope. You're right. How about Eubank v Murray? Would show is no. Murray's got no power. Murray ain't got no power. And Murray, I think Murray's finished now. To be honest, I'd like to see Eubank fight David Lemieux or Curtis Stevens. Let's see him fight some guys who can really crack a bit. Are we on about Mora from Contender? Yeah, boring Mora. Yes. Yeah, he's got a rematch against Mora. So Danny Jacobs is calling out Gennady Golovkin and talking brave, but he already knows he's got the fight signed with Mora. Yeah, exactly. Not good. So I don't know. Still only man to go 11 rounds with Gennady Golovkin. Wait, yeah, he got a shellacking by Gennady Golovkin, and I don't think it did him any favors. But of course, you know, going back to George Groves, everyone now says that George Groves is, he's back. But I think that Murray was never a super middleweight, never proved himself as a super middleweight, and it made George Groves look very good. But you got to think yourself, if that was a super middleweight catching him with them big shots, we wouldn't be talking about George Groves today. So English versus Charles Martin for a world class contract. Murray hurt Abraham a couple of times. Alpha Abraham has an iron chin. He does. But I think Arthur Abraham is long in the tooth. Harte says, why is Eubank Sr. such a doofus? I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know. But I don't know. I don't even know, to be honest. I don't even know if Kell Brook has been thrown under the bus here. Bearing in mind, please bear this in mind, boxing fans. The Olympics is just around the corner. So that's a new influx of fighters for Hearn's matchroom. So there may be a few people to get off. And he may just be fed up with Kell Brook now. So who knows? Is Eddie Hearn fed up with Kell Brook? I don't know. He doesn't care. In your opinion, do you think Golovkin will ever get a chance to do something great within his career? Yeah, I think he will. I think he will. I think he will. The public demand it. Did you rate Darren Barker at his peak? I like Darren Barker. I really did like Darren Barker. I liked him. I like Darren Barker. He's a good fighter. World class. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. But, you know, the image that I remember is that he had a lot of injuries, Darren Barker. I thought when Darren Barker was coming through, he could have gone on to be another Kawasaki because the way he fought, the sort of style he had, I thought, well, this guy could be another Kawasaki here. Of course, you know, Kawasaki had punch power, speed, movement. And I think as Barker was moving up in class and moving and got better and better, his style didn't seem to move with that, move up, as they say. And he was all right. He was all right, Barker. I like Barker. He was a good fighter. Eubank may well get the Brit belt outright now, really, then go after world honors. But world honors, if you're going to go world honors, okay. Now, what are the options that are possible for Chris Eubank Sr.? Well, I mean, let's think about the promoters at the moment. Warren, Hearn. You may have burnt bridges with both guys there. Okay, so tip them to one side. So you've got Matchroom and Box Nation. Bye. So then who's next? Hobson, maybe? And Hobson, Dennis Hobson won't stand for any nonsense. Possibly Steve Goodwin. But again, even if you went to Steve Goodwin or you went to Dennis Hobson, they would still have to get their fights via Sky. Would they not? So I don't know how that would work out. So in America, there's Al Heyman, possibly, Top Rank, Golden Boy. What about those three? Top Rank, main events, maybe? Eubank Jr. fighting out of America with American promotion. Could that work? Oh, yeah, I'll work with Kelly Maloney. No, I don't think that would work. If I were Junior, I'd be smashing his dad's moniker to pieces right now. Don King, LOL. I don't know. I don't know. See, what I'd like to know, really, honestly, if I'm really honest with you, fight fans, what I really want to know, and it's the question that keeps bugging me over and over and over again, if Eubank Sr., difficult, which I interpret and read between the lines of, difficult to work with, can't pull the wool over his son's eyes, won't be able to get him into any slave contracts or contracts that is going to leave him out of pocket. That's how I see these. The woman that promotes a Kovalev his main events. That's why I see that difficult. Okay, so here's a man that is a bit quirky, very quirky, speaks his mind, and is well aware of what these promoters are like. Whether it be he worked with Eddie Hearn, he worked with Barry Hearn. Remember, so Eubank knows what he's talking about in the sense that contracts that there may be slave contracts that are about, or contracts that are not in the, like maybe in that contract there may be some ownership for Chris Eubank Jr. We don't know this. Part of the contract may be for Frank Warren. I remember having a conversation, I think it was Spike O'Sullivan. I think he said to me he was in a 5-fight deal or 4-fight deal with Warren. I think, don't quote me on it, but basically the deal went, well, the first fight he had, he got paid the most amount of money. And the last fight of the contract, he got paid the least amount of money. That's a 4-fight deal. That's a contract. Can you work that one out for me? And then you say, well, I don't want to sign a contract like that. Well, you better sign that contract, or you're not going to get the money. You're not going to get the fights. So let's put that on the table to you. That is something that has happened. So we've heard of slave contracts, where, they give you the money, but, you make the money back by taking certain fights. So you have to say, like for example, I could give you a deal. It's an example. It's not the Eubank situation. It's an example. I give you the money. Say, hey, I'm going to give you a 3 million, or I'm going to invest 3 million in you. And for basically, you've got to fight this fight, this fight, this fight, this fight to make back that 3 million, and then get you out of debt, and then move you into the plus. Those are contracts that can happen, and those are contracts that a young fighter and a young boxer can get themselves caught up with, because I see the money first. Oh, mate, I can make that money back. Do you see what I mean? So there's contracts like that, and Eubank is well aware of it. David Haye is well aware of it as well. Possibility of a solution for Eubank ducking. Gaza says, I don't think the Americans would work with Eubank right now. He brings nothing to the table other than British child and being senior son. Dicko says, all he can do now is set up his own promotional company and go it alone. Well, there is a promotional company called Eubank Promotions. Eubank Senior is a rude, crude bag of pre-food, chewed, pooed dude. Right. Thank you. Sound like a rap. Carl Froch is the only boxer Hearn really gives a crap about, active or no. This is something as well. Haye and Eubank should join forces and create their own promotional company, as they both love talking shit. Haye and Eubank, could you imagine their egos there? Exactly. And I always go back and look at the whole situation with how Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, and Ricky Burns. I look at that situation and Burns being bankrupt. As I look at there. So why everyone's talking about, oh, Eddie Hearn's so great and Eddie Hearn's so fantastic, and I look at that situation with Ricky Burns. Eubank should fight on the Horror Channel. So I mean that's something that people may want to think about and consider. In fact, contracts, the binding contracts. What is the binding contract, and what has Kell Brook signed himself up for? Is there a rematch clause in the contract? What about rehydration? What's the situation with that? Is Kell going to be told, right, you're going to have to come in and you must weigh 160 on the night, and Gennady can weigh whatever he wants on the night? Is that in the contract? You don't know. Nobody's seen this contract. Will we just say, well, one person ducking another? So Eubank should fight in the Cartoon Network. Well, okay. So those are the things that I can see him fighting on day before the end of the year. I can see that too. So I understand fight fans giving Eubank Senior and Junior a hard time, but unless any of us have seen that contract, I think we need to thinking about the contract that there's a weight check on the Saturday according to Hearn, exactly. So we need to see what is what with that situation with Kell Brook and Gennady Golovkin. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what the terms and conditions are closer to the time. We'll see. We'll see. But I guess that's it for now, people. Thank you so much. I hope you. I hope that the update helps with you guys. Where does Eubank Jr. go from here? Is his father that much? Is he really difficult to work with because he really is a pain in the backside and hasn't got a clue what he's talking about? Or is he difficult to work with because he's seeing the wood, the wood from the trees, and he's actually seeing and picking out these promoters, and he's calling the promoters for the corrupt people that they are? and I believe that they're all corrupt. So they don't care about the fighter. They just care about making money to secure their businesses and their families. None of these promoters are fighting. So those are my thoughts. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope I get a world-class contract too. I'm out of here. Thanks for joining me and enjoying the update. I'm out. Take care.